I'd like to give a shout out to Chelsea Handler for calling me bald, I guess. All right. There's a picture of me with no hat on, a picture that I took of myself and posted to the internet. And Chelsea Handler has responded to the criticism she received over her video about not having kids. The funny thing is, in her video response, she highlights Matt Walsh, Jesse Kelly, and Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, but she doesn't actually show anything I said, just a picture of me with no hat on, and says, emergency meeting of the Receiving Hairline Society. Well, I think she said receding hairline, but I think TikTok's voice of text got it wrong. Well, I'd like to point out a bit about this, because she never actually addresses anything I said about her, because I didn't call her miserable. I didn't insult her. I didn't say she was wrong necessarily, I mean, in my view. But let me break down what this is all about. Chelsea Handler, she has this video where she talks about how she doesn't have any kids. And as someone with no kids, she can wake up, do drugs, masturbate, and go to sleep. I don't know what the point of waking up was in the first place, but sure. Also, apparently she doesn't have a lot of work to do. I'm not the kind of guy to come out and insult her appearance, but thank you, Chelsea, for proving that you are the kind of person who would do that to me. The point I made in my video was not that you are miserable. No, I think Chelsea Handler's probably super happy. No responsibility, no job, wake up, do drugs, whack off. I mean, that sounds like gluttony if gluttony could be personified. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. And I don't care if you do it. I'm fairly libertarian, lady. I got no beef. I know a lot of people with no kids. I got no issue. My point is simply this. This is a viral video arguing that or presenting a scenario in which it is preferable to not have kids. And I can certainly respect that she has that opinion because she lives that life. But I certainly think that's a negative opinion to have to spread because people, not everybody, will be happy. Now, apparently, Ben Shapiro said she's miserable. And she's like, I can do whatever I want and I'm happy and, you know, whatever. I would say this. I encourage Chelsea Handler to actually engage with my argument, the milquetoast fence sitter guy on YouTube. Because my argument is that you must be very, very happy. But my argument is also that, you know, I've spent time in the hospital alone. And it was terrifying. Not everybody feels that way. I've had people respond to me saying that they've been in the hospital all by themselves and it was kind of relaxing to get away from everybody. Sure. That's just me, though. So when I see a video about someone saying, life is great, I'm in my 50s with no kids, I'm like, okay, like I'm sure you're having a good time. But my question for you is, what do you do in 20 years? When you're in a nursing home, when there's no one to call, when you slip and fall and there's no one to save you, you slip and fall and there's no one to help you. And more importantly, as I pointed out the other day, what do you do when you feel a chest pain? You call the emergency room, they rush you to the hospital. The doctor walks into the sterile room and says, it's not looking good. Your prognosis is bad. We're not sure how much time you have left. You've got a, insert ailment. Is there anyone we should call? And you say no. And he says, okay, well, we'll be back to check in on you. And they leave your room and you're sitting there wondering if you're about to die. And the only thing you have to look at is the ceiling. Now, maybe Chelsea Handler is fine with that. I'm not saying she's not. I'm not saying maybe she looks forward to it. Maybe she's a nihilist misanthrope who just doesn't like people. That's fine, too. You're allowed to do that. My point is simply, the message I would want to send to people is having kids is probably a very difficult thing to do. I mean, I don't have any kids. And I hear from a lot of people. It is kind of fascinating to me that the generations are so different in that my dad and my mom, they had me when they were in their late 20s. And here I am entering my late 30s and I got no kids. Of course, there is a plan for a expanded pool family, but that's personal stuff I'm not going to get into. My view is it's probably very hard. I know a lot of people have kids. They talk about how it can be difficult. And 20 years until that thing goes off on its own, get out of here, go live your life. That thing. I'm being facetious, obviously. But my point is this. When you're in that hospital bed and you're scared, and then in comes your kid, and your kid is 20, 30 years old, and they're holding your hand saying, thank you for everything. I'm here for you, and I will sit by your side. Or a significant other or somebody. It's about having family and about having community and having people who care for you. But Chelsea Handler didn't just make a video about not having kids. This is the important point that she missed. It's the important point that I think a lot of conservatives missed as well. Chelsea Handler made a video about having no significant other and no one there to share life with you. I'm not saying it is obligatory that you do these things. I'm saying that humans are social animals. I've been watching Yellowstone. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. Oh boy, I'm on season 4 and it's a hoot. Man, that scene with Rourke and Rip. Oh, I don't want to spoil it for you, but you probably already saw it if you already did. It's not like it's a new episode. But there's one scene where a young girl goes missing. And so the reservation calls the Livestock Association because they know the Dutton family and they say, look, we need resources. This girl's missing. So what do? A bunch of people come together and they all fan out 10 feet apart and they start walking. And eventually, sad news. But I thought about this. All of these people together, if this young girl goes off on her own, car breaks down, whatever, and then she dies, how does that happen? What's the difference? With all of these people still out in the same exact place, how come they don't die? The difference is people keep each other alive. When this young girl goes off into the wilderness, accidentally or otherwise, or is chased there, who knows, slips and falls and hits her head, she dies. She has no water, she has no resources, and she's scared. Then you get 50 people who go out looking for her. None of these people get hurt. Why? Because they're all watching out for each other. And if one of them is to fall down and get hurt, they immediately rush in and save them. And that's the point about community. That's the point about family that I think Chelsea Handler is missing. And so my view of it is, I really don't think she's miserable sitting in her bed, waking up, doing drugs and masturbating. I'm sure her mass self-stimulation feels great. I wonder if she's also doing drugs. Drugs feel good too. But here's my point. Of course drugs feel good. Of course lack of responsibility feels good. You can live your life how you choose to live your life. But Chelsea Handler not having kids means that the ideas that she holds, that won't persist. I mean, you can influence people with your videos for sure, but we counter that, we push back, we argue against it. So what are you leaving behind for this world? If liberals and leftists hold the view that they shouldn't have kids and they don't have kids, then conservatives who do have kids will take over this country and this world. And in all likelihood, the future is probably Muslim, because Muslims have way more kids than Christians. But we'll see. I'd say give it 20 or 40 years and Islam will be the biggest religion in the world and Christians will be fading out of existence. Liberals will have ceased to exist a long time ago because they abort their kids, sterilize their kids, or just outright don't have kids. But maybe they don't care. That's fine by me. I don't care. Short-term gains, long-term losses. So when you seek instant gratification, what do you get? Well, the reality is instant gratification can be fine in some circumstances, but I equate it to that story I told the other day about eating dessert. So I cut out sugars and other garbage a year and a half ago, lost 30 pounds. Wow. Feel great. You know, it feels like I have energy surging through me. And periodically we'll still have desserts. But then I thought about it because we went out to eat and then I had cheesecake and it tasted good. But I'm like, you know, tomorrow I'm going to feel sick. I'm going to feel sick after eating dinner. Not like sick, but like uncomfortably full eating dessert. So why do it? If I have a steak, for the most part, I feel good. I eat too much steak, I get sick, you know, for whatever reason. But I could do like, I could do cheese sticks. The Dutch's Daughter is a restaurant we love to go to. It's on the higher end, but they have pepper jack balls. Man, so good. We like going out to eat there. I could have a few of those cheesy little balls and maybe some chicken breast. And I feel like $1 million. It tastes good. It's not dessert. It's not chocolate syrup with caramel sauce and strawberries or whatever nonsense. It's just chicken breast. So it's not like, obviously, cakes and candies taste good. But then the next day I know I'll feel great. I'll feel like I've got tremendous energy, and that is the long-term gain. The left advocates for short-term gains and long-term losses. They advocate for eating to your heart's content because it tastes so good, but then you'll become morbidly obese. You will suffer. You'll have health ailments. That's not living. And I don't know if you're ultimately going to be happy. Oh, maybe she really is miserable. I don't know. I kind of don't think she is. I think she is wallowing in gluttony. And I think she will find herself 70 years old on her deathbed, crying, scared, wishing someone would be there to hold her hand. Now, I could be wrong about Chelsea Handler. And I would also like to point out that some people just physically can't have kids. And maybe this is Chelsea, who's unable to have children, trying to make herself feel better because she can't, and it's a curse. I don't know. My view is different from hers, and she's allowed to have her views. My view is the inability to have children is like, it's like being killed almost. Billions of years of reproduction ending with you. It's a scary thought. But thanks for the shout out, Chelsea Handler. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best. I assume you're probably very happy and you're enjoying your tribal content. So thanks for including me, despite the fact you didn't address any of my arguments. But sure. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all shortly.